everybody. This is the Earful Tower podcast. My name is Oliver G, and sitting across from me for the episode today is Pres Maxson, who, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you will recognize the name as the maestro, the musician who's been doing the music on the show for, I think, about 4 years. We're going to talk about his connection to music in Paris, his book, Chinatown Troubadour, and even the origin story of how he came to be sitting in front of me right now. And there's a special sort of different shout out to other episodes. This one is being recorded live to an audience of people who, despite the fact they've left a lot of comments so far, I haven't read through where they're all watching from, but I assume people are watching from around the world, and they're going to be, me and Pres are going to be hanging around to do a Q&A with them at the end. So that's what you're missing out on if you're not a member. And I'm planning to do this a lot next year. So Patreon members, Substack members, keeping this show going and getting the benefits. Let's start with a little music before we meet Pres Maxson. Pres Maxson.
Oliver G.
We've not sat in a studio together before.
We never have.
Okay.
Yeah.
What music did we just play then?
We're throwing it back a little bit to what I think is a pretty popular Earful Tower track at some point in the last few years. That was the originally penned Red Scooter, a classic that we've used a lot in the past, but I don't think we've used it in like the last year.
Well, there you go. Back on the DJ tracks. Let's. I think there might be people listening who are thinking Pres Maxson don't know the story. Maybe they're new listeners. Let's rewind. Let's put some perspective on this. Your music has been on this show for, we're just trying to figure it out, 4 years?
I think I'll have my 4-year anniversary in the spring.
Okay, and how many different songs have been played?
I was trying to think about that the other day, and you can actually kind of mathematically do it. There was 20 episodes of original music in the Countdown season. There was 26 episodes in the Alphabet season.
Of course, yeah.
Then there was 10 for Earful Everywhere this past year. But what's deceiving about those numbers are all 20 tracks from the Countdown season were medleys of 5 or 6 songs strung together. And on top of that, every now and then, especially in the early days, I would just out of nowhere shoot you a track.
Send a message and go, I wrote a song about a giraffe.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we're floating...
At least 56.
At least 56. Yeah. I think we're probably around 75.
Okay. So let's get into this for a second. I think let's start with that. You've done a lot of songs. So with the Countdown season, for people who are new, this is where my wife Lena and I spent 24 hours in each of the districts of Paris. And I think the way that we did it is I sent you notes.
Exactly.
Should we go even further back about how we started talking?
Sure.
That's a pretty fun story.
Yeah.
I don't know if we remember it the same either, by the way.
We might not.
Let's do it together, okay? So, because I reached out to you first, for sure.
Yeah, but I was a Patreon member
already.
Yeah, and so you'd every now and then ask a question, and I'd respond, or you asked people their bucket list items, and I think you read one of mine once, and I was like, "Oh, cool."
Are you sure that's okay? So,
no, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, this is how I remember it. Is I was scrolling on social media videos. And I saw a guy, plot twist, doing one of those videos, and this, because this is years ago, I might get a bit wrong, but doing one of those videos where there's like, let's say 6 squares of each of them is you playing a different instrument, and you played that music that they used in the Chicago Bulls intro. Is it Alan Parsons Project?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Okay. Weird, you wouldn't think that's the...
I know, but it's iconic.
Can you, gosh, I'm glad you're here. Can you do that sound of what that song sounds like for people who don't know what I'm talking about?
It starts with a really deep synth, so it's like, BAM! It's like, I
tried to do that once to explain that song to someone. If you're not good at music like me, it's really hard to do.
Well, if anyone's listening and they don't know that song, they're probably sitting there saying, what was that?
No, I think people know that one. Okay, so I saw that and I was like, wow, that was cool. Like that. Love when people have that kind of talent. I like to think I put a little like and a follow, but probably I didn't. Scrolled on.
I don't remember.
Right? I just usually scrolling around. And then The way I remember it is I had we were doing the countdown season, and we were in Montmartre, and
well, wait, not to interrupt you. You asked me a question, or no, you sent me like an email, and you were like, "Hey, I think I recognize your name from the Earful community."
yeah, that's right, maybe.
And I just saw this the Bulls music,
Yeah.
the basketball music, and I just thought that was cool,
There
and
you
that was
go.
it.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
it, and
yeah.
I was like, "Wow, Oliver G,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah." So
because
there
I
was
went
that.
back and I found I was like, oh, that guy follow. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
surprised to see cool musician following my podcast, right?
Nice. Oh,
And
thank
then
you.
I wanted a cover, like a gentle cover of a Charles Aznavour song, La Bohème, I think. And I said to Lena's, my wife Lena's dad, I was like, can you play like just that La Bohème,
Right.
And he played it pretty, like just on the spot. He's
I
pretty good like
recall.
that. And then I don't know. I reached out to you. I was like, could you do this? And you did it. 100. No disrespect to Lena's dad, but 150 times better.
No.
Yeah. You had you did the same. I think you used his music, and then we should play it. We'll play it right
We'll
here.
play it right here.
But da da da, and then.
I've always wanted to meet him, but this is the duet that we put together of Lena's dad and me playing the same
I love
song.
that one. Yeah, I love that song. So
It's one of my favorites.
And then we back and forth a bit, and you were like, the way I remember, you were like, I'm kind of looking for a project.
Yeah.
If you want more, I'll do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, in a nutshell, I have spent many years in rock and roll bands, and I write a lot of jingles and little other podcast scores. And I was kind of, at this point in my musical life, I kind of was thinking, I don't know what to do next. Nothing seemed to make sense. And I think I told you once later on that serendipitous interaction we had and led to your offer, hey, you want to try some stuff out? All of a sudden, it felt like the exact natural next step. I thought, here's all these artists I love, Aznavour, Trenet, Edith Piaf, Yves Montand, Jacques Brel, Serge Gainsbourg, it's all these great guys. And I thought, why haven't I been playing this stuff I love for a long time?
Yeah.
So the moment felt perfect.
This ties in nicely as well to obviously the French connection, and we're going to get into that and your new book. But over the years since our sort of slightly differing versions of how we met, you've been a big part of the scene, and you played you played piano at one of the Christmas parties. Who were you in that Pantheon night?
I was Cole Porter.
Cole Porter, yeah. So for people who don't know, I talk about that story when I do the Latin Quarter tour, which isn't that often, but when we walk past the Pantheon, I'm like, I'll tell you guys a little story. A lot of my tours I do, you'll see, you're going to go on one of my tours.
I know, I can't wait to crash a tour tomorrow. Yeah.
I usually tell like anecdotes and stories that I think people will remember, and I tell that Christmas party story, and the 20-second version is I got a bunch of actors in inverted commas. You're in inverted commas because some of them are real actors.
Yeah.
And like Midnight in Paris, I walked a big loop around the Pantheon, quite cold, with a little microphone thing, and I think 40 people maybe had it in their ears, and I was interrupted by characters from Paris Past every 5 minutes. So you were Cole Porter, and you jumped out, and just like Midnight in Paris, you didn't see the crowd or whatever, and then it was so fun. That was a
super fun night. When people ask me, hey, I want to listen to the show you help on, what should I start at the beginning or when? I have 2 or 3 episodes that I give them as if you want to get the spirit and want to kind of see how fun it is, start with these. And that your recap episode from that night
that is such a good idea.
is one. I just have them in my pocket at all times.
Why didn't you tell me that like 4 years ago? That's a good idea. Like a little, if you like food, if you like fun, if you like long and boring ones, you know.
I never say that.
You could. There could be some. Okay, so let's. Now we've sort of done maybe that annoying thing on podcasts where people will talk about how they know each other and everything. Let's get into France and French music leading towards Chinatown. But first, you just, for a man from the United States, you just reeled off a lot of French musicians very quickly. I don't think a lot of, not just people from the States, but people from abroad can maybe do that. That suggests to me you have your finger on the pulse of French music. Is that a normal thing for a man like you from, where are you from?
I'm from the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
I live in Indianapolis now. So hello to all my Midwestern United States people out there. And to answer your question, I don't think it's that normal.
Oh.
But growing up, we had family in Brittany. So flying back and forth to visit them always included stops in Paris, and I'll talk about it in a second, but spent the summer of 1996 in Paris. And my aunt she was the one who was really piped in, and she had a Charles Trenet CD always spinning in the little cottage they had out in Brittany. And
Is she French?
She's American,
Okay.
but she was a college department head French teacher, and one of those kind of speakers that even French people assumed she was French. I mean,
Oh, that's good.
super gifted.
Yeah.
And my uncle always had an Aznavour CD in the car. And so I had a sort of, ever since I was probably 19 or 20, had this indoctrination into just music I started loving. It sounded like Sinatra, and some of them sound like jazz, but there was this added element for me of curiosity that went beyond what I was hearing in jazz records or pop music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Plus, the idea of you couldn't presumably understand the words adds that mystique to it.
Well, it was my uncle who always said, you can't understand the words. He said, but if you listen closely and get better, it's a great way to learn words.
I agree with your uncle. In fact,
smart.
Aznavour is really good. Some of them are way too crazy, but some of them are. And some of the other names that you listed. We once did a list of, I think Lena made a list of hacking French.
I remember that maybe.
I
And I
got an
feel
email
like
from someone recently that that's my go-to Spotify.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll share that in the show notes for everybody.
Nice.
Okay, so like I said, you had this connection to Paris and French music. You're learning French. Takes us to 1996. Yeah, that's a good place to start for your book.
Yeah.
Chinatown Troubadour. I'm going to blow your mind here, by the way, because you got a copy of it.
I brought it just so I could kind of like hang on to it and look at it.
Bet you didn't expect this, by the way. Look.
He has a copy of it.
Not just that.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh, another book by Pres Maxson.
I just held up two of his books.
Oh, my
admittedly,
goodness.
I've only read the new one.
No, that's okay.
But I'm going to get you to sign them while you're sitting here with me.
I didn't
You
sign
can tell
this?
it's red. I don't think so. Oh, yes, you did. Well, I'm going to get you to sign this one then. You can see it's well read as well.
It is. I love it.
But let's talk about this book. So 1996. But give me the 30 seconds version.
Yeah, the 30-second version is in 1996. My sister and I came to Paris without our parents to stay with my aunt's college kids she'd brought over.
Your sister.
Yes, that one right there. She's the only one I got.
Okay.
And so one of my missions that summer as a 16-year-old was I'm going to discover French music. And I say this in the book, but I absolutely failed that summer. I didn't find Trenet and Aznavour and everything, but I did find one street singer, and we ran into him 2 times during that summer, which made him memorable. And he's a big personality. So often through the years, someone in our family would kind of joke and say, hey, whatever happened to that guy? And the story of the book is 2 years ago, I asked myself, I really do wonder what happened to that guy, but I don't know his real name. I don't know where he lives now. And the internet can't really help me find him. I only had a cassette tape of his music that I'd bought in 1996. So it took me 2 years of searching, but I found that guy. And the book is about that 2-year process and then eventually kind of how we started interacting and who he is and where he is now. And it's not a spoiler, but the spoiler alert is that he is a man in his mid-70s who still is trying to become the world's biggest pop star.
Right. I didn't know. Spoiler, that's a good thing to say because I didn't. I mean, like,
I think it's part of the hook for like reading the book, but yeah.
Yeah, but I loved it. I read it. I think when did it come out?
Last March.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've been waiting to sit down and talk about it in person.
I mean, it took me long enough to get here, yeah.
But I love it. True story, Chinatown Troubadour. Where can people find it before anything else?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It's probably the easiest place, not necessarily globally, but certainly in Australia, the United States, Great Britain, France. Pretty easy to access. That's the easiest way. I don't target a lot of bookstores locally. I just don't. There is a community in Indianapolis and Chicago, but it's just not part of my strategy. And I'm sure you and I could geek out on that stuff for a long
People
time.
might tune out.
Exactly.
Actually, some people might tune out and some people really would tune in.
Maybe.
The nerdier that you get about things, the more
Yeah.
some people would just prepared for it, you know?
No, I know.
But Chinatown Troubadour, so the guy, I'm hesitating with my questions because I don't want to spoil anything for people, but you met him again.
Yeah.
I saw on your Instagram.
I had dinner with him last night.
Yeah. But you know what it reminded me a little bit of, and maybe people said this to you before, but have you seen Searching for Sugar Man?
Yeah, so I saw Searching for Sugar Man on an airplane after I was about halfway done with this. I don't think I'd found Lucky is his name, or at least that's the name he goes by. And when I saw Searching for Sugar Man on a plane, I'd never heard of it, and I just gave it a shot. And as I watched, I thought, "Oh man, that's good. Did they just do it better than me?"
I mean, that was Oscar winning. The director
it was amazing.
The director was a Swedish guy. I think he's died.
Oh,
now.
interesting.
But that was a
Sugar Man's passed away too now.
Has he?
Yeah.
Gosh, we're doing spoiler alerts left, right, and center
what have we
today.
done?
That movie's brilliant, but there was that kind of vibe, that kind of
Yeah.
seeking out the big shot musician.
So, I think it even is a little, I don't want to say deeper than that because it's not. It's like I'm going for that vibe. But I'll tell you one thing I loved about Earful Tower, and I'll talk about you for a second. You've said before publicly on the show, when you see the gate resting open but not open, like go through and be polite, and you might discover something you've never seen before. And I feel like I heard you say that before I was doing music for the show, because I had already written some other books that were fiction, and that was one of my kind of creative prompts for myself, is take a real life circumstance and ask myself, well, what if something had gone just a little different, and write a story about it. So in this case, I mean, this is a true story, so there's no creative prompt for like a fictional story. But I did kind of say to myself, here's a guy who's that metaphoric garden gate. It's like, if I can find him, I'm gonna open a door to a story that even based on the 10 minutes I met him back in 1996, I thought this is going to be interesting if I can find him. And I was right. and another fun way to get to know a part of this city that I don't know that are on a lot of people's lists.
Chinatown.
Yeah.
Well, that was my next question, actually, because the book's got a bunch up there. We're talking the 13th district, which, if you're not, if you're not seeking Asian food, or residential areas of Paris, you probably won't stumble upon that area. What do you make of the area up there?
Well, when we were here for that entire summer, by now I've stayed in a bunch of different neighborhoods, but that summer we were down there at Cité Universitaire, like lower 14th.
Yep.
And I didn't know what I didn't know about Paris. I was 16. I prepared for nothing coming here. So looking back, we must have spent a lot of time over in the 13th because my aunt loved Asian food and was always like pushing us off to good restaurants and stuff. So running into Lucky 2 times that summer,
Right, it was twice, wasn't it?
we must have been in that neighborhood frequently enough to do that. But I think it's a really interesting, totally culturally different, section of Paris. And it's certainly not what I think a lot of people think of when they imagine an image of Paris in their head. But it is fantastic food. It's absolutely a neighborhood feel, but not a neighborhood feel that I have ever felt like is I don't belong here or they don't want me here. I've never sort of felt that. I've also had a nice host in this last year too. But yeah, I would recommend it. I mean, I love any Asian cuisine. It could be Chinese, Japanese, Korean barbecue, Indian, Thai. I'll take it, and they have it.
I think what you just said speaks about a lot of Paris. So many people come to Paris just looking for the same things that everybody sees. That idea of that massive Chinatown out there.
Yeah.
I haven't scraped the surface of it. We went there on the countdown season, but for the whole district, the whole 13th, which is huge district. So we only spent like an hour or two in China. I don't know if it's actually called, what is Chinatown?
He calls it Xintown.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sister's in the room here, and she can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he has told us that it's the largest Chinatown in Europe. And maybe...
She's shaking her head.
No?
No, she's not.
No? No, I think he's said London's is famous, but ours is bigger.
Yeah.
He's very proud.
That's the thing. The one in London, but the one in London is way more central. So people, I assume, sort of even use it as a shortcut, which is never happening.
No.
There out on the 13th. One more question about the book before we move on. Meeting I'm not saying the guy's your hero, but like meeting the person that you've sort of put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Risky.
Certainly.
And how did that did that make you sort of hesitate to even continue with the book? Or
Not really. I knew as I was writing the book that I think I can, because most of the book I was writing, I hadn't found him yet. I was just writing, I was kind of keeping a journal as I searched. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, if he doesn't want to talk to me, or if he wants to promote something I just can't get on board with, this whole thing's going to be kind of a bust. So I knew there was some risk there, but I kind of had a sense on it that he would be entertaining. And I don't listen to that cassette like just in my car for fun. It's not like the style of music I typically listen to, but when I dug it out of a box from my parents' house and put it in the last cassette player I own, in our house, I was struck by, it's good. It's very good. The production quality definitely is a souvenir of the early 90s, but it's a very specific creative idea. And I spend a lot of time in my professional life trying to distill how a very specific creative idea comes to life, and how you can kind of keep it rich and undiluted by distractions. And listening to his thing, I thought, this guy knows exactly what kind of piece of art he wanted to make, knows exactly what kind of artist he is, and knows exactly like who he wants to talk to in this. And that was just enough for me to kind of say, I should keep going. I bet he's going to be interesting.
Did you play music with him?
We sang together, but he is like, he's mostly retired from performing live. I don't think he plays guitar nearly as often as he used to. But we did do some singing last night. We've got some good videos of it. And that has always kind of been my dream. I don't know, it'll never work out, but I have no plans to write a continuation to this. But if I did, would have to be nothing short of us going into a studio. No, us going into a studio and recording that second album that he exclusively talks about.
The difficult second album. Speaking of jamming out, I saw you were jamming out with Slim and the Beast.
That was maybe the highlight of this visit so far. I went to Samuel's reading. It was awesome.
For those who don't know, by the way, Slim and the Beast, first ever guests on this podcast all those years ago, they also did music and jingles for this show. They wrote a song.
Actually,
Go for a Ride.
That's right.
I went to a wedding recently that they played at in Montmartre.
I feel like I saw that.
In the Musée de Montmartre, which is an amazing venue for a wedding. Do you know, have you been in there?
I don't think I've
This
ever
big garden that they'd privatized. It's one of the guys that play basketball with.
Cool.
And because Slim the Beast played basketball, they were invited along and they were playing music, and they played that song that they...
Go for a Ride.
Go for a Ride, which long-time listeners of the show will know very well because it was on...
I don't know if you remember this, but I think early in us collaborating, I asked you, why did I get this job? And the Slim guys aren't just doing like all this. But I think they were fairly busy being Slim guys.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But
maybe they'd had the job already.
Yeah, maybe.
So what's changing subject again? You're trying to play the organ at Notre Dame. Talk about lofty aspirations.
Look, I try and play a lot of pianos and organs that I have no business playing. Yeah. I'm just one of those people that, there's not a piano in the world that exists that I don't want to, give a whirl.
I remember reading one of your Substacks. I can't remember. Did you play at some baseball stadium or you wanted to, or what was that?
For anybody who's piped into Major League Baseball, no, I was a finalist for the position of ballpark organist at Wrigley Field.
Is that like this? That's it?
Yeah. Well, you do take me out to the ball game, and sometimes, if needed, the national anthem, and literally thousands of songs or snippets of songs in between.
Yeah. So what, you were a finalist. How did they even test that? We're way out of Paris right now, but...
No, the Cliff Notes version...
Are they like, what would you do if there's a home run? Go. Like that?
Yeah, you'd probably have some like locked and loaded songs for that kind of stuff. And actually, I know this home run music is canned because you're in a set of headphones and you're talking with the game management folks about, when does someone press play in the DJ booth to rile up folks, and then when is it your turn? And I think that is one of the cool things about that job is kind of in the moment picking what's going to be right for a certain player or for a certain play of the game.
We've gone too far from Paris. But it's cool. It's always fun for me to have a podcast episode where I talk about different things.
Let me close the loop. I don't think I'm going to get to play the organ at Notre Dame.
Tell you what, neither do I, but it's worth, for you guys listening at home, Pres asked me very politely to pull in a favor with the powers that be.
Well, and I'm not coming out of nowhere. Before the fire, they let the general public play the Notre Dame organ. It was on every Sunday, and the list was like 3 years long.
Yeah.
And
we're like, can I do it next week?
Yeah.
And I tried to pull some strings. It still could happen.
But I don't think it could still happen. But I don't think they've started that practice over yet. So that's one thing that hasn't come back.
It would be so. You know what? I was thinking how cool it would be if it had or if it does work out, to go and make a story of it as well.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm writing about that for days after.
Well, I'll be in there filming. I remember, man, a whole different story. I was up there though by that organ very soon before the fire, as in, I mean, not like the day before, but maybe weeks before or something. And I'd never been up there, and I was on like a late night tour when it was closed. And I remember I took pictures of it standing and looking down. It's fantastic up there. Amazing. I assume that you play it up there as well. Actually, I wouldn't even know. Maybe not.
The console is usually somewhere in the proximity. Yeah. But you're right. It's they can have pipes. It just depends on the construction of the church. There can be pipes all over the place that aren't near.
And do you want to play that because just because you like playing every piano, or does Notre Dame have a special sort of?
I think no. That's a great question. Notre Dame, from my teenage years on, for some reason was probably my favorite landmark, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm not, at the time, especially then, I'm not particularly religious. I just thought it was beautiful, and I'm drawn to musical things, as you know. And I think the reason I asked and the reason that it occurred to me was that not because I believed I belonged there doing it, but because, at one point they let people do it. And I thought, if they're letting people doing it.
I don't think it sounds at all like
I deserve to be up there.
No, I don't think it sounds at all like that. If I was a pianist, I'd want to play it. I think it's nice.
You know what I've never talked to you about, but somewhere in the back of my head, I think, because doesn't the American Cathedral in Paris have Cole Porter's piano?
Yeah, I've seen it.
And in the back of my head, I've been like, someday.
I used to know the what's the word? Canon? The Canon.
Yes.
Yeah, but he went back to the States.
He was on the show.
Yeah. I was in there in the I recorded at his house even.
Wow.
Yeah, and I met some interesting people over the years on this show.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, wow, I've been...
it's cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But back to Paris a little bit, because time's running away. I want to know, if you're in Notre Dame, if they gave you the keys and they're like, go on, then you get 60 seconds, what do you play?
I think it's probably not just a song. It's probably whatever comes to me in the moment. And I don't really feel bad about doing that because I know my ability. I could make it, do something beautiful. But organ improvisation is a real art form. And the actual Notre Dame organists, I think there are 3 of them. I mean, these folks do entire albums of improvised organ music and stuff. So I think I'd have to trust myself to go in and just feel the moment, and it wouldn't be rocket science. I'm not in there to impress anybody with the speed of my fingers or my feet or anything. But I think you want to come up with something that's, in my mind, tender and as reverent for the moment and the space as you possibly could. And if all I need to do is come up with 60 seconds of that, I could do it.
You know what? I hate to say what you should do to anyone ever, but...
I'll take it. What is it?
Like, you should go for... after Notre Dame, every other organ in Paris is probably gettable.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe you should just go for number 2 or 3 or 4.
Play
or 10.
Every organ.
No, forget that. But find a smaller church.
Yeah.
How hard can it be?
No, you're right.
How much longer are you in town for?
until Tuesday.
Oh, well, that's
I got a lot of work to do tomorrow.
Look, time's run away.
Yeah.
Time's run away. So, also nice Bob Dylan shirt, by the way.
I wore it for you, man. And
Really?
our waiter at the cafe right before coming here, he said, "Il change le monde."
It
changed the world.
True,
I was like,
fair
I
enough,
totally
yeah.
agree.
Yeah, Bob Dylan. One too many mornings. Like a rolling stone. Here we go. Speaking of like a rolling stone, thanks for rolling through the studio and talking to me, Pres. It's been really fun to chat music.
It's been my pleasure, yeah.
And I'll see you tomorrow for the walking tour of the Marais. Talking about sticking your foot into open doors. There'll be a little bit of that.
Let's hang out. I can't wait.
Thank you for the music, as Benny and Björn from ABBA once said so well. And looking forward to seeing what else comes up in the coming years. So
appreciate it, man. Well, I'm inspired to go home and dream up some new melodies.
I'm looking forward to it. Pres Maxson, and you can find his books in the show notes, actually, and wherever they sell good books. Pres, merci beaucoup.
Ah, de rien, mon ami.
So there you have it, Pres Maxson, the musician, the maestro, the man behind the keys and all the other instruments as well. Like I said, you can find the links to his work, to his writing as well, his Substack and so on, and his music on the show notes if you scroll down. Otherwise, as I said at the start of the episode, this show, The Earful Tower, exists thanks to the people who become members. They pay a monthly fee, they get benefits, they get extras. In this instance, today, they watched that whole interview live and were chatting amongst themselves, and they're about to chat with me and Pres about anything that we want. So if you want to be part of this group, if you want to meet intriguing people from Paris, let me introduce you to them, but you'll have to become a member first. That's also linked below. Thanks very much for listening. My name's Oliver G. This is the Earful Tower, and have a lovely week.